of a first date. A young couple arrives at her doorstep, and the young man leans in for that all-important first kiss, right? And he's leaning in, and he puts his hand, on the door jamb, and he whispers to her, and he said, I had a really good time tonight. Can I give you a good night kiss? And she said, are you crazy? Are you crazy? My parents are right here. They might see us. No. And he said, come on, it's dark out. Everybody is sleeping. Nobody will see us. Come on. And she said, no, 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 it's just too risky. They could come out at any time. And he's undaunted. He is undaunted. He says, it's not that risky. It's dark. It's quiet. Nobody will know. I had such a good time. Please, 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 just say yes. And with that, the front door flies open, and here's the girl's younger sister, her hair all a mess, and she's in her nightie, and she's got a sleepy voice, and she says, Dad says go ahead and kiss him. Or I'll kiss him. Or if need be, Dad will come down himself and kiss him, but somebody just say yes to kissing him so he will take his hand off the doorbell. What's ringing your doorbell? What is ringing your doorbell? Is it your soul's desires? Is it your hopes and dreams? Is it that experience to live a greater life? Is it ringing your doorbell, and what are we saying? Are we inviting it in, or are we saying, no, 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 it's too risky. Not now. Somebody might see us. So we all have decisions to make every day about what do we say. We could say yes, we could say no, we could say maybe so. We say later, when I'm ready, I'm not quite ready. When the stars align, then I'll say yes, right? But we all have a choice all the time, and we're making lots of decisions, small decisions every day, right? Yes, I'll go into work this morning. No, I'm not going to work any overtime. Yes, I'll have chicken for dinner, but no, I will not have the beef. So we're dozens and dozens and dozens of times we are deciding yes and no. But sometimes we're saying, sometimes we don't decide, right? We don't have practice in deciding. So I find myself all the time, we have Netflix, we're watching TV at night. Caitlin will say to me, what do you want to watch? I don't care, it's up to you. Well, really, I do care. There's some things I don't want to watch, but I'm giving over my power of choice to something else. Why? Is it laziness? Who knows why? Sometimes we'll be with friends. You want to see a movie? What do you want to see? I don't care. Whatever you want to see. You want to have butter with popcorn? Whatever you want. So sometimes in these small things, we're not even making a decision. We're not even stepping into our power, acknowledging our desires and saying yes to the little things we want. So when our soul's longings come up and ring our doorbell, we may not have practice. We need to start at least having practice to say yes to those small things. But we agonize, should I do this or this? I don't know, we're so worried about making that right decision or not looking foolish or whatever that it is that stops us from really stepping in to our own power, to decide and declare what it is that we want to say yes to. And so that is really that is what our theme is about this year, is discovering God, discovering ourselves, and discovering life, discovering what it is that's ringing our bell, and then loudly saying yes to that. Because when we're saying no, when we're saying, well, when I'm not quite ready, when this happens, when I retire, when I have a little bit more money, when the kids graduate college, when whatever, we're really then not stepping in to our own unlimited possibilities, are we? We're not stepping in to our own personal power. We're not discovering. At that point, instead of saying yes to God, because who's ringing our bell? It's God ringing our bell. But when we don't say yes to God, we're saying no to something else. We always have a choice. So we could say yes to God, or we could say yes to fear. We could say yes to being comfortable, or we could say yes to moving forward in the direction of our dreams. We're always saying yes to something, but what happens is we end up saying yes to being things the way they are, not taking that step. We say yes to our fears on and on and on. And so it's so easy to stand up here. It sounds easy. So I'm going to have us say, let's repeat after me. Today I say yes to life.
Today I say yes to life.
Today I say yes to God.
Today I say yes to God.
I say yes to my dreams.
I say yes to my dreams.
I say yes to living a bigger life.
I say yes to living a bigger life.
I say yes to my inner brilliance.
I say yes to my inner brilliance.
I say yes to my inner genius.
I say yes to my inner genius.
I say yes to my self-worth.
I say yes to my self-worth.
And I say yes to my self-value.
I say yes to my self-value.
I say yes to God.
I say yes to God.
Okay, so this, when we're sitting here in these chairs, so easy. So easy, right? But when we leave these chairs and something comes up for us, then how easy is it to really go forward and say yes? But we have these rules that, oh no, you know what I'm saying? But when it's about living life, we can say yes to everything. We need to remember to say yes to God. We need to remember that if we say yes to our heart's desire, to our passion, to our dreams, to our bigger life, to our infinite possibilities, sometimes then that means we do have to say no automatically then to the old way of doing things. We have to say no to the status quo. We might have to say no to just living in our comfort zone. We might have to say no to other people's fears about how it is that we're going to be living our lives. So sometimes we get all caught up in how we're going to be perceived, right? And then we don't even move forward. So Dr. Ernest Holmes said, he said this, we should endeavor to choose that which expresses always a greater life. That's what we should say yes to always. Whatever comes up for us that is expressing a greater life. He said we must remember that the Spirit is always seeking to express love and beauty through us. Spirit is love and beauty, expressing always itself through us, in us, and as us. We want to say yes to that. If we are attuned to these, then we are working in harmony with the great creative power, and we need have no doubt about its willingness to work for us. So we can say yes to life. We can say yes to God, knowing that there is that power for good in the universe greater than we are, that is always, always expressing itself and always desiring to express its greatness through us. It needs an outlet. And guess what? We're the outlet. And guess what? God is ringing our doorbell. Has been ringing our doorbell. It's leaning in and just asking us for a little kiss. But we're afraid somebody's going to see. We're afraid somebody's going to hear. The timing isn't right. It's only the first date after all. We don't want to be looking too lofty and too full of ourselves. But this is our moment. This is our moment to shine. This is our life. And this is the time to say yes to the God of our being. So I'm going to share a little Bible story about the power of saying yes to God. So this Bible story is about a war between the Israelites and the Philistines. And this war has been going on for a long time, but there's a couple of challenges that are facing the Israelites. Well, first of all, they're a smaller people. Physically, they're smaller than the Philistines. The Philistines are large, they're tall, they're massive. They're stronger than the Israelites. And also, they outnumber the Israelites. So the Israelites are smaller and they have fewer people. And so this war has been going on for a long time, and people are getting pretty tired. But there were some rules of fighting back then. And the rules were that, there was always a truce at night, no fighting at night. And so that was a good thing. And then also, we've seen these in the epic movies, right? So you're lining up, right? here's a line in the daytime, and the gong sounds, and the first row of soldiers, they go out and fight, and then the second row comes in. So that's kind of how they were fighting. It's very tiring. And if it was your turn to be in the front row, could not be maybe your lucky day, right? So again, fighting a long time, and there was a lot at stake here, because here's what the war was about. Whatever side won, that side was going to be the slaves to the other side. So they really, both sides, nobody wants to be a slave. So this is the background. Well, so one evening, so let me continue the story. So because everybody was tired, one of the Philistines had a great idea. His name was Goliath. And he says, you know what, he has a plan. And his plan is this, because everybody's tired, he goes up and he wants to talk to the king of the Israelites. It's King Saul. And his idea is this: you bring your strongest man to fight me, and we'll just the two of us fight. Everybody else is off the hook. And whoever wins, that side will be the winner. So if your side wins, we will serve you. And if I win, then you guys will serve us. Well, King Saul thought this was an okay idea. So he goes back that evening to his little encampment area, and he starts asking for volunteers. And you know, nobody wants to be a volunteer, so you can imagine they're just kind of all looking at their feet, hoping that King Saul will not see them, so that he won't select them, but nobody's volunteering. Well, it just so happens that night, there comes a boy, because you know, nighttime is truce, right? And he came from his farm, and he had a job to do. His two brothers were fighting. So his dad sent him over to bring the two brothers some food, and to kind of check in on them, make sure that they were doing okay, and to report back to the dad. And this is the shepherd boy, David. So he brings them the food, and so all is well. But nobody's volunteering to fight Goliath. So the king decides to sweeten the pot. So he makes this announcement. He says, well, I'll tell you what, whoever volunteers, there's going to be a little bonus in this for you. I'm going to give you some land. I'm going to give you some money. You will be exempt from paying any taxes, and you will be able to marry my daughter, the princess. Well, he's thinking, of course, that this will make people volunteer. But what happens? They're all still looking at their feet. But David hears this, and he gets excited. So he starts asking around, is this true? Is this true? And so he gets confirmation that it is true, and he decides he wants that. He's envisioning, I can live that life. I can live the life, no taxes, money, land, and the princess. So he's really getting excited. He tells his brothers about it, and they say, are you crazy? You're small. You're small. This guy is a giant. You can't do it. Are you crazy? He's going to kill you. But here's David. No, don't tell me about that. I don't want to hear about that. So he is saying no to other people's fears, not even his own fears. But you know how it is that sometimes we're going to share our dreams, our goals, our desires, our plans with other people, and their fear rises up because they're putting themselves in our shoes probably. So what happens is, if we allow their fears to stop us from moving forward, that can easily happen. Then we're going to say yes to their fears. Then maybe saying yes to our fears, but then definitely we're saying no to our dreams, to our goals, to our higher self. We're saying no to God, right? So David is saying, no, I don't want to hear that. Tell me about the princess. That's what I want to hear. I hear she bathes in perfume. So bathing is good, but bathing in perfume? Wow. He's all over that. That's what he wants to focus on. That's what he wants to hear about. So finally, he goes to the king, and he says, I'm willing to do this. And the king takes a look at him and says, are you crazy? He'll kill you. And but nobody else has volunteered, right? So what's the king going to do? He could go around asking and begging as all the soldiers look down at their feet, trying to hide. So he finally takes David up on his proposition, and they lay on, you know, the armor and all that stuff. But it's big. It's too big for David, and he can't move and he can't maneuver, and he says no to that. He takes it off. And he says no to the way that you need to do things, to the way that you think is right. He says no to other people's opinions of how things should be done. And he says yes to his own inner genius, his own inner brilliance, his own magnificence. He says yes, again, to his dreams. He is saying yes to God. So he pulls off the armor, and we all know the story. We all know that he takes the stones and his slingshot, and he fells Goliath with, you know, maybe one slingshot fell swoop. And all is good, and the Philistines get to serve the Israelites. But he's saying yes to God, right? He's saying yes to that special something that in the midst of everyone else's fear, and perhaps even in the midst of his own fear, you know, he is kind of small. He had a vision. There was something within him that was, I can't even remember the radical, ecstatic. That was ecstatic with the possibility of something new. Maybe a possibility that heretofore he had even never bothered to imagine. It wasn't even in his consciousness, probably. As a shepherd boy, he's not going to interact with a king and a princess. As a shepherd boy, he's not going to come into a lot of money and property. He wouldn't even probably dare to dream something like that. But once an idea went into his head and he recognized it as his, there's no stopping him. He was saying yes to that bigger dream. Do you think that he might have been afraid? I'm guessing. You know, I'm guessing. He's not a warrior. But he has said yes. He sees this bigger vision. He probably anchored himself in the divine. Plus, he utilized what his talents were, what his gifts were. He didn't pick up a sword. He wasn't gifted in that way. He wasn't talented in that way. But he had talent with a slingshot. He knew that. So he used his strengths. He used his inner brilliance, his inner genius, his gifts. He used what he had to say yes. And then what happened? He was really lifted up. He was victorious. He said yes. So God is ringing our doorbell. Our dreams are ringing. They are leaning in so closely, wanting a little kiss. How we need to just capture that idea, that vision, that dream of what it is as our own possibilities. Maximize our gifts and our talents so that in alignment with what is already our innateness, our innate gifts and talents, with that divine inspiration, there would be no stopping us. What is ringing your doorbell, and are you going to say yes? What is calling you to live a better life? What is calling you to serve in a greater way? What is calling you to open up your heart in a new way? So just because we have ideas in our head that saying yes, even to not even our God self, but to the other things that we just want to make our life easier. Say yes to it all because it is your life. God is ringing your doorbell. God is ringing your chimes, leaning in. And so then we can so easily open the door and say, come in. I've been expecting you. I've been waiting for you. Come in, have a seat on the couch, and let's talk about my unlimited possibilities. Let's talk about your unlimited possibilities. And so it is.